Locals always said Black Hollow Road wasn't cursed, it was waiting. Waiting for someone foolish enough to wander along its cracked pavement after sundown. When the fog rolled in thick as wool and the tree line creaked like bones adjusting in the dark. I always thought it was just small-town superstition. I had grown up in Briar's Ridge, West Virginia, population just over 800. And if there was one thing we did better than coal dust and county fairs, it was ghost stories. But that was before the night I saw him. Before the lantern man stepped out of the fog and called my name. My name is Lily Warren, and until last fall I never believed in curses. I never believed that something old, something hungry, walked Black Hollow Road. And I never believed it could follow you home. Black Hollow Road sat just outside town. A forgotten stretch of cracked asphalt curling through the hills like a crooked spine. During the day it looked harmless, boring even. But at night, it became something else entirely. The trees leaned inward unnaturally, forming a long, narrow corridor of shadows. The fog, angrier and thicker than anywhere else in the county, clung to the ground in a gray sheet. And then there were the stories. People claimed to see a tall figure carrying a lantern made of iron and bone. If you followed the light, it led you deeper into the woods. If you ran from it, well, most who ran were never found. Still, stories were stories. I never worried about them until the night my brother Caleb didn't come home. He had taken his truck down Black Hollow Road to pick up extra lumber for his job. It should have been a 10-minute trip. He didn't come back for hours. When the sheriff found the truck, smashed into a ditch, Caleb was nowhere. No footprints, no blood, nothing. Just an abandoned truck and a lantern-shaped scorch mark in the dirt beside it. People whispered. People stared at me in the grocery store. People said, "The lantern man took him." I refused to believe it. Until the night I went looking for Caleb myself. It was October 23rd, foggy, cold. The kind of night that smelled like old rain and wood smoke. I parked at the start of Black Hollow Road, grabbed my flashlight, and ignored every instinct telling me to turn around. "I'm coming, Caleb," I whispered, stepping into the fog. Black Hollow swallowed me whole. The silence was immediate, thick like sound didn't exist there. Even my footsteps seemed muffled. My flashlight beam cut through the mist in short, nervous strokes. Then, maybe 10 minutes in, I saw it. A light up ahead. Pale. Flickering. Swinging gently back and forth. A lantern. My breath iced in my throat. But then I heard it. A voice. My brother's voice. "Lily." Soft. Weak. Calling my name from somewhere near that pale light. I broke into a run. But the closer I got, the more wrong everything felt. The air grew warmer, almost swampy. The fog thickened until I could barely see my own hands. The trees seemed to press inward. And then I saw him. The lantern man. A tall, gaunt figure dressed in tattered black. His face obscured beneath a wide-brimmed hat. In his hand he held a lantern, but it wasn't like any lantern I'd ever seen. It looked handmade from twisted metal and shaped bone. Its flame a sickly blue. He didn't walk. He glided. And the moment I saw him, the voice stopped. Caleb's voice vanished like a snuffed match. The lantern man paused in front of me, turned his head. And though I couldn't see his face, I felt him smile. Then he whispered, in a rasping, burned voice that sounded older than the hills, "Follow, and you'll see where your brother went." I stepped backward, then another step. The lantern man's flame pulsed. Bright, bright, dim, and then the world around me blurred. The trees? Gone. The road? Gone. Only fog. Only darkness. And the lantern man raised his lantern toward me. "It is your turn to walk with me." That's when I ran. I didn't look back. Didn't breathe. Didn't stop until my lungs burned like fire. When I finally reached my car and slammed the door shut, I felt a cold breath on the back of my neck. A whisper. "Not yet." Then nothing. But I knew on that road in that fog the lantern man knew my name. And he wasn't done with me. I didn't sleep for 2 nights. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that pale blue flame swinging in the dark. After what happened, I told the sheriff. Sheriff Delmont was a good man. Patient, kind. but even he couldn't hide the flicker of fear behind his eyes. "You shouldn't have gone down that road alone, Lily," he said, rubbing his temples. "I had to," I snapped. "Caleb is still missing." He sighed. "I know. But what you're describing, no one who's gone down that road at night has come back with a clean mind." I bristled. "You think I hallucinated it?" "No." He said it too fast to be reassuring. "Look, people have been disappearing on Black Hollow Road for almost a century. But there's nothing human doing it." That was the first time anyone admitted it out loud. I leaned forward. "Sheriff, you believe the stories, don't you?" He stared at his coffee mug like it held answers. "I believe something walks that road. And I believe your brother wasn't the first to follow its light." I felt sick. "So what do I do?" He hesitated, then leaned in close. "Don't go back there." But that wasn't an option. Because the next morning, I found something tucked under my windshield wiper. A piece of old parchment, stiff yellowed, folded in half. Inside, written in shaky handwriting, "He's still alive." I followed the light. "Don't make my mistake. Caleb." I dropped the paper. It felt warm, like it had been held tightly before being placed there. My brother was alive. He had to be. And if he had followed the light, then there was only one place he could be. Before going back, I needed answers. Real answers. The kind the sheriff wouldn't give me. So I drove to old Marla Jensen, the town's unofficial historian and resident gossip queen. She'd lived in Briar's Ridge for 87 years and knew everything, and everyone worth knowing. She answered the door immediately, even though I hadn't knocked yet. "I figured you'd come," she said. "You saw him, didn't you?" My stomach twisted. "You know about the Lantern Man?" She motioned for me to come in. Her house smelled like tea and mothballs. Every surface was cluttered with books, jars, and old newspaper clippings. Marla shuffled to a rocking chair and sat down with a sigh. "The Lantern Man isn't new," she began. "He's older than this town. Older than this state. Some say he was a coal miner who died in the shafts. Others say he was a preacher who made a deal with something inhuman. But the truth..." She leaned closer, her voice dropping. "No one knows where he came from. But we know what he wants." A chill slid down my spine. "What does he want?" Marla swallowed. "To replace himself." My breath caught. "Replace?" "He can't leave that stretch of land. Not unless someone takes his place. That's why he calls out to people he thinks will follow him. He lures them into the hollow, and if their soul is weak enough, he binds them to the road." My heart hammered. "Caleb isn't weak." "No," Marla whispered. "But he cares about you. The Lantern Man uses what people love most to trap them." A wave of nausea swept over me. That voice I heard. It sounded exactly like Caleb. Marla nodded grimly. "He mimics. He tempts. He lies." "He told me to follow," I said softly. She reached across the table and gripped my hand. "Lily, if you follow the Lantern Man twice, you don't come back." I stared into her foggy blue eyes. "I'm not going back to follow him. A beat. I'm going back to take Caleb home." Marla's hand tightened around mine. "Then you'd better hurry," she whispered. "Because the Lantern Man doesn't wait long before choosing another soul. Another soul to replace him. Another soul pulled into the fog. And if the parchment on my car was real, if Caleb really left me that message, then he was fighting to stay alive. I wasn't going to let him fight alone." Black Hollow Road looked even worse the second time. Fog draped the pavement like a burial shroud. The treeline leaned so far inward it felt like walking into a throat. And the air, heavy, warm, humming, pressed against my skin. I carried two things Marla insisted I bring. A piece of coal wrapped in twine, and a jar of river water from Briar Creek. "Old things hate older things," she'd said cryptically. I didn't understand it, but I trusted her. I stepped onto the road. Fog curled around my ankles. The silence pressed in, instantly thick, suffocating. 10 minutes passed. Then 15. Nothing happened. I almost turned around. Then, from somewhere deep in the mist, "Lily." My heart jumped. Caleb's voice. Weak. Scared. "Lily, help me." I ran toward the sound. The fog thickened with each step. Shadows twisted. The temperature dropped violently. Then I slammed to a stop. The lantern man stood directly in the road. Lantern glowing blue. Tall. Still. Watching me. He lifted the lantern slightly. Its flame pulsed like a heartbeat. You came back. My muscles locked. His voice wasn't human. A burned whisper mixed with gravel and wind. Where is my brother? I demanded, surprising myself with my own steadiness. He tilted his head. Slow. Curious. The same place you will go. No, I said. You took him. Now I want him back. The lantern man chuckled, a dry rasping sound that made my skin crawl. You followed once. You followed again. One more step and you are mine. I forced myself not to move. Not forward. Not back. I'm not following you, I said. I'm taking him. The flame flared violently. The fog twisted into long tendrils that curled around my boots. You cannot take what belongs to the hollow. He raised the lantern. The air around me pulsed. The fog darkened. And then to my right, I saw Caleb. His figure stood between the trees. Pale. Shaking. His clothes were damp with mist. His eyes hollowed with exhaustion. Lily, he whispered. Help me. I stepped toward him. And the lantern man hissed. 3 steps. And you are mine. I froze. Caleb reached out a trembling hand. Please. But something was wrong. His voice was weaker. Too weak. Like fading tape. Caleb. I whispered. Is that really you? He swayed slightly. Smiled, but the expression was too slow. Too robotic. And that's when I knew. It wasn't Caleb at all. It was a lure. Puppet. I gripped the coal in my fist and shouted. You're not him. The lantern man screamed. A sound so violent the fog itself shook. The false Caleb dissolved into mist. You dare defy the hollow? The lantern man shrieked. The road buckled beneath my feet. Shadows crawled toward me. Fog wrapped around my legs like hands. I opened the jar of creek water and flung it toward him. The lantern man recoiled like I'd thrown fire. His lantern flickered. Dimmed. The fog loosened its grip. His voice trembled with fury. You cannot weaken me forever. He is here. Find him if you dare. Then the world shifted. The fog spun around me in a tornado of white. The trees blurred. The road vanished. And when the fog settled, I was no longer on Black Hollow Road. I was somewhere deeper. Somewhere older. Somewhere the lantern man ruled. The hollow wasn't a place, it was a realm. A twisted copy of the forest and road, stretched wrong, bent like melted wax. The sky overhead was pitch black, yet somehow glowing faintly blue. The trees creaked like they were breathing. And at the far end of a crooked path, chained to an enormous dead oak, was Caleb. This time it was really him. His eyes widened when he saw me. Liliano, you shouldn't be here. I ran to him and dropped to my knees. He was ice cold, trembling violently. I'm getting you out, I said. No, he whispered. You don't understand. He needs someone to replace him. He wanted me, but I resist him. Lily, he wants you now. My blood froze. The air shifted. The lantern man materialized from the fog. Slow. Purposeful. His lantern glowed brighter. The flame inside writhed like a living creature. You came for him, he whispered. But you will stay instead. No, I said, standing. I won't replace you. The lantern man raised his lantern. And for the first time I noticed something inside. A faint shape. A silhouette. Person. A soul. Trapped. Screaming silently. The flame wasn't fire. It was a human soul. Burning. Endlessly. My breath hitched. You burned him, I whispered. All those missing people. You took them. You burned them into your lantern to keep your own soul alive. The lantern man smiled. His teeth were black and cracked like coal. This flame is my life, he whispered. Burning another means extending mine. Caleb choked out. Lily, run. But I didn't. Because I suddenly knew what I had to do. The coal in my pocket pulsed with heat. Marla's words echoed in my mind. Old things hate older things. The lantern man raised his lantern, ready to take me. I flung the coal directly at the lantern. The flame convulsed. The lantern cracked. The hollow shook. No, he screamed. You fool. The lantern burst open in a blinding flash of blue light. The trapped soul inside escaped, rising into the air like a streak of lightning, and the lantern man for the first time stumbled. Caleb grabbed my hand. Go! The hollow collapsed around us. Trees falling, fog shredding, ground splitting open. We ran. We didn't look back. The lantern man shrieked behind us, a sound made of anger and agony, his power fading, his soul burning away. We burst through a wall of fog, and suddenly we were on Black Hollow Road again. Just a normal stretch of cracked pavement. Morning sunlight breaking over the hills. Birds chirping. I collapsed into the ditch, gasping for air. Caleb fell beside me, trembling. Alive. We stayed there until the sheriff arrived. He helped us into the patrol car without asking questions. He just said quietly, "You both made it. That's what matters." In the weeks that followed, the fog on Black Hollow Road lifted. For the first time in decades, it stayed clear at night. No lights. No voices. No disappearances. Locals whispered that the lantern man was gone, banished, burned away, or freed from his curse. I didn't know if we had destroyed him, or merely weakened him. But every now and then, when the wind shifts just right, I swear I hear a faint whisper drifting through the trees. "Lily, I'm not done. Yet." And when I drive past the start of Black Hollow Road, I always see one thing sitting at the edge of the woods. A shattered lantern, cold cracked, but still faintly glowing blue.